Howdy folks, welcome to Final Fantasy Friday here at Rudros Entertainment. The starter card. A rare foil pull from a pack, but a guarantee in one of the many starter decks. This week, we are taking a look at a bunch of old starter cards that were quite formidable in their prime, but have fallen off in recent years. What caused them to disappear? Let's find out. Here are my top 10 amazing starters that no longer see play. Honorable mention, Zidane from Opus 3. If you weren't playing Win for the top card from my hero list, this light Zidane was a nice addition to any deck in Opus 3. The easy card draw or discard, and hey, if you happen to be playing 9 characters, well, you got a nice little discount or potential refund as well. That's category 9, not, 9 physical characters on the board. This card was quite nice for its versatility. Honorable mention, Vaughn from Opus 10. Good old Vaughn was a fun reward for getting to 5 damage. He never saw much competitive use outside of one very dedicated player sticking by the card through thick and thin. To be honest, I put this on here more for that player more than anything else. You're welcome, Captain. Number 10, Shantotto from Opus 10. The insane payoff for Ranpair, Shantotto was overcosted and short-lived, but boy did she make me scream when she came in for free. The card was probably quite fair at what seemed to be its intended 6th reduced cost effect on the card, but it was brutal as the Ranpair play. It could take out your opponent's backups, monsters, forwards, or it could even just replay the very Ranpair for its next target. Ranpair itself was one and done in Opus 10, but it made an impact, along with Lady Toto. Number 9, Rygdea from Opus 1. This fine gentleman was Alcid's preferred dancing partner when the old Onion Knight wasn't around. Combined with Alcid's 6k, Rygdea added an extra 3k to take out essentially anything in the game. And then he scooted another blocker out of the way as well. It's one of the reasons early Lightning had that, push through you kind of power. It could even be combined with things like Opus 6 Ramuh to really knock a board down. Rygdea was always tied to Alcid, so he bowed out for good when that card did. Number 8, Serah from Opus 5. Ooh, Moogle Chew! What a fun idea. If you loved Moogles, then Serah was the card for you. The job never got fully fleshed out, but Serah is the closest thing it had to an engine. Search out a Moogle, activate Moogles, throw Moogles at your foes to knock one down. Serah was fun for Moogles of all ages. I don't recall it ever winning any big events, but damn, was it a fun card. I was hopeful it would launch future Job Moogle decks, but sadly, that just never came to be. Serah hung about here and there for a few Opus, but she was definitely gone by Opus 10. Number 7, Jihl Nabaat from Opus 1. One of the few early backups with a special, Jihl was one of my absolute favorite answers to early aggression. It just felt like the perfect play. You develop a backup to increase your resources and slow down your opponent's attacks at the same time. And with the ever-useful EX burst, Jihl could just randomly punish those forwards that attacked this turn, preventing further aggression on the next turn. I'm honestly not sure how long it lasted as other cards came out to replace it, but she was always a winner in my heart, and I happily ran at least one copy of her as late as Opus 10. Number 6, Ace from Opus 3. To be around when cadets were a powerhouse. This Ace was a baller back in the day. While 6 was a hefty price, he could drop any cadet forward onto the field alongside himself. And then he would recur one from the break zone as well when he made his exit. 5-cost King was one of the best free targets to put down, and Trey or 9 were not bad either. Straightforward and to the point, this card was as good for as long as cadets were good. Which, by my count, carry the 1, yeah, that wasn't very long. I know they weren't around in Opus 5, but I'm not sure if they did much in Opus 4 either, with the powerful Category 6 cards making their debut, and the monsters. Number 5, Cid Raines from Opus 1. This killer removal for ice, Cid Raines may not look like much with only 4k damage, but forwards were a bit weaker back in the day. If the Raines fully resolved, forward removal and a discard was insane value. This starter would only get stronger as more Opuses added crazy tools, such as you get the Opus 6 Renoa for the Flicker, which actually caused a total of 2 discards. Imagine my shock the first time that happened to me. And Glaciolabalus, which was a nutty combo of versatility. The card did fall off as forwards got larger and larger, forcing the Cid to have the combo pieces just to kill one thing. But man, when it was relevant, the Iceman cometh. Number 4, Paine from Opus 1. What can I do for you? Wong, 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 wong. Yeah, YRP. You know, there was a time I hated this card as the purely free value it offered was just quite crazy. When talking about CP, many players often refer to the card itself you must play, so whatever the cost of the forward, you have to add 2 CP to it. But Paine refunded the cost on entry and gave you the card back to replace herself. The only thing that even made this card bearable is that it had to be played in a very specific package, and at least it didn't have any continued value after that. Still, a free body to block or attack and dig you deeper into the deck, it's easy to see why Paine, and by extension Wind, Water, Riku Paine, was around and prevalent all the way through the Opus 10 Worlds competition. The game eventually got faster and more powerful, and Paine was able to take a well-deserved rest around Opus 11. Number 3, the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, or specifically Alice from Opus 5. Okay, so full bias on display for this one. I don't think it ever won any big events, although I know it got darn close, but this was the deck that got me into the game. As a new player, I was searching for a deck and an element combination to call my own, and at the time I joined, there wasn't many other 2-element combos that were centered around a specific game. Scions is where I found my home. These are hardly my favorite characters from the pantheon of FF heroes, but I truly felt the card game tapping into the video game with this specific job. They all work together, and they all get stronger when they're a team. Ida was my girl back in the day, and it was a fun challenge to try to see just how strong you could get her numbers to. Alice is, of course, what made the deck work, with everyone having haste, meaning that the deck was always a threat for that surprise finish. Scions do still exist today, but they've moved into a very different space with a different element combination. And the old version of Scions officially bowed out around Opus 10, World of Final Fantasy being essentially a better version of it. But man, this entire packet of starters will always, always have a very special place in my heart. Number 2, Valefor from Opus 1. I believe Alex Hancock's exact words after the 2019 Worlds event were, quote, "ban the bird," unquote. And it's easy to see why. If you had a Yuna on board, this card actually gained you CP if you were on 5 backups. So you'd spend 2 to cast it, the ephemeral 2 CP of the card itself, and 1 backup extra for good luck. It was an insane combination with Fina in Opuses 8 through 10, and a very cheap addition to anything else you would do. Their 9k just blocked your free Paine, well, finish it off with another 3k board-wide ping. It also let you extend your combos and plays for the turn by giving you all of your resources back. I heard it said that, really, these were wind decks with just enough water to actually make them function. The card was so strong for so long, and for some reason it had EX Burst, turning those random do-nothing turns into, oh, actually, now that this occurred, ta-da! And it can only be outshined by one other card with an EX Burst. Number 1, Kadaj from Opus 11. Kadaj, Kadaji, Kadaja. Ugh, this card. How I absolutely abhorred this thing. Since debuting in Opus 11, this card has put me in a foul mood. I think it's still a good card. I think people just play even faster things now. It's entirely immune to any effects that are limited to your opponent's turn. This includes characters that have enter the battlefield effects, limited summons like Hekaton Kyre that are limited to your turn. It was also the start of Ice's decline, as freezing this card was entirely meaningless. And for some reason it had the insane versatility of it could hit in your break zone, or making anything it wanted to bigger and stronger, or just knocking one of your blockers out of the way. And it was the start of the upcoming trend of end-of-turn triggers. And if you didn't know already, you quickly learned that the end phase triggers could not be manually responded to by players. So even if you had an answer or a counter to Kadaj, you weren't allowed to use it. Being a dark card let him go everywhere. 9k11 Brave made him an absolute pain. More counters did start to eventually release, such as magnet cards like Charlotte, which could eat up the doll or the 2k Brave, and cards that could blank abilities such as Porum, but Kadaj's inbuilt quote-unquote protection still makes him a fearsome foe, and personally, I'm glad I don't see him much anymore. And that's it. The 10 starters of old. Did I leave something off the list? Something on here you disagree with? Let me know in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button for more Final Fantasy videos just like this every Friday. We are so close to 1,000 subs, and your help in reaching that goal is greatly appreciated. Look forward to an Opus 22 spoiler coming out in the near future. Thanks for so much for watching, and until next time, take care.